Hello, everyone. Thank you, Ms. Johann Hyde Wilson, for that very generous introduction. I would sum it up and say, I just don't do boxes. That's what I say. I am honored and elated to be here with you all today. All these beautiful faces. I love these Stronger Than t-shirts. You guys are really, really, really warming my heart. I gotta pause here though, because I want to thank some groups and some folks. I want to thank the College of Lake County, Lakeshore Campus, Waukegan Housing Authority, Resource, the Juneteenth Cultural Committee of Lake County, and Vista Health, and each and every one of you, and of course, my mama. Yes, let's give one more round. What it is today, we are going to have a good time, I assure you. I'm so excited I can barely keep my notes, so I don't get away from myself and get too excited, but I have so much that I want to share with you. Let me tell you about what we're going to do during my time here. We are going to talk about, a lot of you have heard about the Stronger Than campaign. You see it on the marquee there. Some of you are involved in it. Some of you are here just to find out what it is. We're going to talk about it. What is this campaign? Why are we doing it? Where did it come from? And what do we want to get out of it? And as my aunt Tina used to say, what's next? We're going to give you a sneak peek of our national anthem, also called Stronger Than video, that is going to be released worldwide. Wow. But because you are here and you are present and you are intentional about being here, you're going to get a sneak peek of it first. Yes. Just on recording. I also want to take a little time to pause and get your feedback on after you hear about the Stronger Than campaign, about what it means to you, how it resonates with you, and what you think you ought to be doing about it. And then to sum it up, we're going to transition over to the what's next. How do we make Stronger Than an internal commitment so that we can own and accelerate our personal and professional growth trajectory? That's a lot of stuff we're gonna do, right? So is anybody ready to be empowered? Yeah. Somebody say strong today. Strong today. Let's get going. So how did this get started? So now I want y'all to walk with me on this story. I'm a storyteller. So in 2014, I began writing a certain song. I didn't really understand at that time why I was writing the song, or actually even when it was going to be finished. But there were three things that I knew. One, that it was going to be called Stronger Than ... And when we get to the feedback, I want you all to tell me why it's ... The second thing I knew is that some woman somewhere in the world would find herself in that song. And the third thing, and which is foundational, that I knew was that I had to first internalize that song so that it could resonate with me and my life before it could be a gift to other women. So over the years since 2014, I began to reflect over my life. My foundation of faith. Thank you, Mom. And then my passion for music and the gift to travel around the world as a featured vocalist with the Sounds of Blackness. But I thought about that other part of me. The other part of me that I would often suppress. And that is the part that from a child was a dream for me to practice law. I thought, hey, come on, boys. I thought about my blessing, really, of being able to accelerate my own career trajectory in that Fortune 100 financial services company. I even thought about the implicit biases that would chase me, even at the height of my career. I thought about the responsibility of representation that I had as being an African American woman senior leader, being able to bring some other folks with me along. I thought about, as I was excelling in both my music and law careers, how even with the success of both, I vacillated between the two, allowing myself to step into a box on either side of my passion and my dreams. I thought about how I told myself that I had to choose between my passion and my dream because other folks said that I had to. I thought about those naysayers that I had who spoke words against me, who were hell bent on trying to keep me inside a box of limitations. Perhaps because they were looking at me through limited eyes and therefore could not see the whole of me. But good God Almighty, then in my mind's eye, I could see so many before me. I knew that I was not the first woman to dare to dream, and I knew that I would not be the last to go beyond expectations. We'd be here all day if I called the whole room, but I thought about the Daisy Bates, the Sandra Day O'Connors, the Dorothy Count Scoggins, the Charlotte E. Ray, and let me make this personal, the Ernestine Dolphus, and her daughter, Dr. M. Jean Dolphus. And countless others, sung and unsung, upon whose shoulders I still stand stronger than. And even now, I'm sure you can join me in thinking about some of the new legends of strength. Michelle Obama, Kamala Harris, Ketanji Brown. Stronger than. And let's be clear, y'all. I had to then look within. To the one who always has kept his hand on through the pain, through the sorrow, through disappointments, through unfairness, through loves and loves lost, to find myself. Scripture said, and when she came to. And coming into the realization that I don't have to choose between passion and dream, that I can do all these things and more because he strengthens me, and he has decreed upon me the right and the privilege to do that and so much more as far as my eye can see. Stronger than. Now in early 2021, I picked up my pen, I put on my headphones, I stepped into my own studio. And I finished that song with the intention of sharing its message to somebody else who needed to know that she too was stronger than. I gotta tell y'all about the power of we, but I can't tell you about the power of we until I tell you about the power of she. Somebody say the power of she. The power of she. So that same year in 2021, another woman by the name of Miss Annie Richburg was traveling through Charlotte, North Carolina, where I live with my mama. She was with another young woman, her granddaughter. And they stopped by to see one wise woman, that woman right there, my mother, who at some point in the visit told a wise woman in training, that's me, she said, why don't you play her a song from your biopic, A Woman Evolves? Why don't you play her a song from your story? Now, let me tell you something about Corrie. Normally, I would say, oh, mama, they don't want to hear that. Oh, mama, I don't have, oh, mama. But that day, I had already set my intention of sharing this song with the world. So for some reason, I pulled out my phone. She didn't get the words out good. Sharon, tell them, let me hear it. I got the song right. So I not only shared a song, but I shared That song, Stronger Than.
Okay.
And let me tell y'all, have you ever looked at somebody and you can see the wheels turning in their head as they're looking at as they're listening? That's what I saw. I saw the wheels of creativity and vision turning in the mind of Miss Addie Richburg, who happened to be the executive director of the 400 Years of African American History Commission. And they happened to be looking for an initiative to sink their teeth into. And they happened to be focused on women of color at that time and women's empowerment. And she said, I have to have this song, Stronger Than. So that vision was ignited in Miss Richburg, and she ignited a fire amongst the 400 Years of African American History Commission, who are a bunch of other strong women and strong men supporting strong women. Let's give it up to the strong men. Yeah. And they said, yes, let's do this. Let's put together this campaign, Stronger Than. And I would connect with other women, like one Miss Jody Turner in Charlotte, North Carolina, and another Miss Johan Cotton Wilson in the Chicago land. And they would galvanize women in their respective cities to join women, over 400 women across this nation, coming together, as Johan said, celebrating strength, resilience, courage of women, historical and present day, sung and unsung, known and unknown, stronger than, and not just women who have overcome, but women who are on the journey to overcome. Now, Johan said very intentional, we're very intentional today. She said, I want you to introduce yourself or introduce someone else at your table. Let me tell you why. It's because of the power of she. Sometimes it's important to tell your story, but sometimes it's important to stand in the balance of some other woman who hasn't quite got her words to tell her own story, because together we are what? Stronger than.
Yeah.
So I know now why I began writing that song, Stronger Than, back in 2014. But I had to live some things. I had to see some things. I had to reflect on some things for that song to truly resonate with me. And traveling from city to city, we had like 9 cities in this campaign. I want to say a movement, right? Yeah. We had like 9 cities, and I just went from city to city, and hearing all of those women tell their stories, I can hear so many commonalities, but I can also hear the uniqueness. But the one question that they were all asked, is it important that we tell our stories? And a resound, like this one in the back, a resounding yes, it is important for us to tell our stories, not just for ourselves, but to preserve our legacy, so that some young woman coming behind will hear your story and see herself in your story, and know that she too can be what? Stronger than. Yeah. And looking out into this very room, I can see, without knowing everyone, that we too have some personal stronger than stories. And I'm sure if I ask you here and now, is it important for us to, why don't I just ask? Y'all, is it important for us to share our stories, to tell our stories? Yes. It's so important for us to do that. And so before we go into listening to your feedback just about this movement and how it resonates with you and what we think we ought to do about it, I want to just pause and give you guys that sneak preview that I said I was, because if I'm nothing, I'm a woman of my word. So I want you to look at this video, and this was shot in Charlotte, North Carolina, with a team of women involved in the Stronger Than campaign. And after we look at this video, I'm gonna open up this floor, and I want to hear from you all about how this movement, Stronger Than, resonates with you. And guess what? We don't just have to hear from the women, we can hear from the men too. Is that all right?
Yes.
All right, Ms. Wanda.
Concur. Awesome.
And hopefully you saw some familiar faces.
Yes.
Sean Wilson, Dr. Constance Murphy, that video.
Yeah.
Yeah, we're not gonna say it twice. But, yeah, thank you. So that is why. That's why I wrote Stronger Than, and that's why it is a movement. And I want you guys, we'll talk at the end, because I don't want to take up too much time, because I want to definitely get us into part 2, where we get these tools. But that is what I wanted you to know about this. It's not just people coming together to talk and put on t-shirts. It's about standing in solidarity with each other and recognizing our strength and resilience and understanding that you don't always have to come over it to celebrate it, but you can stand with your sister and you pull up into your own strength. So I want to pause and I want to just open up the floor to people just to share what you think about this movement, what it means to you personally, and what you think we ought to be doing about it. Anybody? Somebody have a floor mic that we can pass around?
We don't have a floor mic.
Okay, well, so project really well. It's a big mic in the middle of the ceiling, so you should hear.
And we want to remind the ladies to please be respectful, but don't talk while someone else is talking. Thank you.
Who wants to be the first one to step up?
I'll be the first one.
Thank you.
So, I'm Marquise, and I've met some women here today that are just amazing me. I know Dawn, I know Jackie, so what it did for me is I run a retreat that's been going on now for about 5 years, and it's called Queens of Purpose. And it started just with bubbling out of my own heart, not knowing quite why we needed or where we were going, but just that we needed to get together, to bond and have a place to just be women. And just like the video, we put on t-shirts and we run off to Lake Geneva and we have a awesome time of empowerment and healing. And that came from being a person in long-term recovery myself and knowing that I did not know some things that I needed to know as a mother, as a wife, as a citizen of my community, and how can I be involved, I know Sharon Epps, and she just drops nuggets on me all the time. So, being raised by grandmothers, I'm sensitive to the healing process that another woman can actually give you. So I believe that, women can build a kingdom or they can break down one. So, I've never been on that. Over 5 years, it went from 16 women, and now I think we're taking 80.
Oh,
And we're doing this, and this is amazing. So that video and your song is like confirmation.
oh, that's amazing. Like you said, Queens of Purpose.
Queens of Purpose.
I love that. I love that. That's awesome. Anybody else? Yes, ma'am.
Okay, hi, I'm Deborah Bobo, and what it did to me was
I became a widow, the end of, 2020. My husband went to be with the Lord, and I went through a lot of emotions and situations trying to find my way and challenges. And, it kept saying to me, you're stronger than the situation.
Yeah.
You're stronger than this and stronger than that. So that's something that I would definitely take from this and hold someone up. I know that people have been in my life, people have been holding me up.
Oh, yeah.
And I so appreciate God for allowing these people to be in my life. But that's what I got from that, that I am stronger than the situation. So I can shift my thinking and look at it differently. I don't have to look at the circumstance. I can look at what God has deposited inside of me through others.
Oh, yeah.
I want to say that this initiative, I appreciate it because I think sometimes we, as Black women, we're so used to the narrative of us just being so strong all the time and not giving room to be vulnerable and saying that this is hard and I can't do it. So I think that, you know, while it's important to remember that there's strength and vulnerability, God graces us for the strength that we need in every season. And sometimes that may come in the form of other people. As with this initiative, you know, leaning on your sister because he made us to be interconnected people. And so it's just good that things like this exist because we know that we don't have to go through struggles alone. We have, you know, a sisterhood that we can kind of lean on and be vulnerable with. You just fall apart with, like, you don't have to always be so strong. You know, you're strong, there's strength in that in itself.
Yes, strengthen that knowledge, and like you said, strengthen vulnerability, which is why we're saying that it's not just the people who have overcome, but people who are on the journey. And that's why we stand together, that sister, with each other to hold somebody else. And that's why Ms. Tanya Wilson said, introduce yourself, maybe tell yourself, tell somebody else. You know, kind of thing. Thank you for your comment. Anybody else?
Hello, hi, Jackie Cunningham. One of the things that, hey, everybody, like you have been a very empowering person in my life. I see many of women. I no longer live in the eastern part of Lake County. I've moved to the western part of Lake County. So I don't get an opportunity to see much of me, which is you all. So I, back then in 2019, before COVID hit, took it upon myself to help out with mothers that have children ranging from ages 9 months to 15 years of age to assist with homework in the schools during the remote home training thing that the schools had going on. So it had become so heartening to me to see that our young little girls ages 7 years of age, 14 years of age, was not reading at the reading level. So I had taken it upon myself to kind of talk to people in my community and wasn't receiving any good feedback. So I just stepped out and was like, I'm gonna do this by myself. I'm just so tired of asking and this and like that. So my program was founded in 2020. It was called the Miles of Smiles Girls Club. And it's a program to help young Black girls to read, to be able to read, because you guys, I'm telling you, we have high numbers of our very own children that are not reading at their reading level. So I just wanted to say to you, Ms. Jahan and Dr. Cotton, of course, and of course, Eleanor, you all educators are here. My 5th grade teachers here, Ms. Donna Clark. And you can't tell me the empowerment for her to see me standing here from 5th grade as a woman of empowerment. I want to say thank you for pushing me and the rest of us. To see you in 2020 from back in 1970. Okay, it is really an honor. And what you implemented in me, I'm gonna give to little Black girls at home.
Each one. Reach one.
Reach one.
Make somebody.
Make somebody
A better leader.
a better leader
than you are today.
than you are today.
That's what that's about.
right.
All right, anybody else?
I just want to piggyback off of what you said earlier about more than greater than, like more than. There were 22 women that made history in the year of 2001 and 2022. So it is so, what you said, it is so. It is meant for us to stand up and be accountable now. 22 women made history, mayors. I didn't even know that there were Black women mayors. I didn't even know there were women in Congress that made history in such a short length of time from all their work. All their work they accomplished. The accomplishment was made. I was so happy, I called it Skittles. All women of color made history. And that was phenomenal for me. And it gave me power to keep pushing forward. I am so grateful to be here at one of the conference. I didn't know that much about you, but I did know of you. And it does give me more drive to keep doing what I'm doing. It's not easy, but I've been there. I'm from Chicago. I'm from England. But I know most of these kids, and I know most of their struggles. So if this is a challenge, but it's a challenge I'm up for.
Yeah.
Because we here need social security in places in our children, in us, our age. We need education. We need a lot of things. And I just want to be a part of it. I'm just going to be a part of it. That's all I have to say. I believe if I win.
Okay, we have time for a couple more before we get into phase two. And I'm not, y'all think I'm gonna let my mama put her hand up and not call on her and go home? I'm stronger than that.
I want to invite you to look just a step deeper. As women, we're everything to everybody, and we're always on the bottom. That's how we go. I know all the world and the shape of the world before COVID came and the way it is now. I know we have a million things that need to be done outside. But for a minute, I want you to know, I've lived long enough to find out that you ought to stop somewhere and look at you. We're always going out. But if we stop and take care of self, do something for you. I'm trying to make you feel better that I'm on the bottom of the post. Let's stop and get ourselves right. And then it will just radiate from us.
Yeah.
Okay?
Yeah.
I know that baby needs this, and daddy needs that, and Aunt Sue needs, and Uncle Joe needs, but what do you need? It all begins and ends with you. And that's all I'm gonna say.
But I see a couple more hands. I'm gonna go ahead and let me have a hand at this table. Somebody wanted to say something. Yes, ma'am, Green.
Yeah, right. Hi, everybody. You know, I just to follow up what you said, we have to frame our own narrative. Don't let anybody else tell your story. And I'll say this as my personal story. I just recently changed jobs, and I'm in corporate America, but on the association side. And I was leading an organization, but I had a boss who every time I did something he didn't like, he made me feel like I was incompetent. He didn't say it, but it was directly, but it was in his actions, in his passive aggressive behavior. And sometimes we listen to that and we let it get inside of our head. And that self-fulfilling prophecy sets in when you think, maybe I'm not as good. You know, being the only Black executive in the room, being the only Black person standing in front of your board of directors, being the only Black person in front of a white staff, that they even say, you know what, are you really the boss of me? Yeah, I am. And so you have to dig deep inside with everything that you learned and trained and know how good you are, and pretty much tell your own story, empower yourself, because we individually are our best champions. And if we don't stand up and champion for ourselves, then no one will. So I made a decision to leave. Now I'm in a job where I have complete autonomy to do anything I want to do, and I'm making more money than I ever have before. Part of this to help mentor others who want to lift themselves up and sometimes are afraid to do that. So.
Amen to that. That's a perfect segue. Because I want to get through the part two of what we're doing, and then I want to reserve a few minutes for continued thoughts and any questions that you have. That's a perfect, thank you, my corporate sister. I understand exactly what you're talking about. So now, how do we internalize stronger than so that it impacts our daily lives, in our careers, in our relationships, and in terms of our own sister inner peace? I know that's it. How do we get from where we are today to where we want to be without losing ourselves? So we're going to talk about 7 things. I gave you guys a handout. It's basically a checklist. I'm going to focus on a couple of areas in the interest of time. But 7 things you can do starting today. Do they have that handout there? Okay, you'll get it soon. No worries. 7, but listen to me in the meantime, because I'm going to tell you everything you need to know. 7 things you can do starting today to own and accelerate your personal and professional growth trajectory. All right. So number 1, if I don't know if you all have things, you have something to write on there. Number 1, know yourself. Now, as we go along, I'm going to be interjecting a few what I call mama-isms. You know, those things mama told you and you didn't really get it until you were grown. My mama used to say to me, honey, you got to know who you are. You got, and I didn't really understand what that meant until I entered corporate America. You have got to know who you are. So the first thing is know yourself. If you are constantly planning your growth trajectory around other people's expectations or perceptions of you, you will never get to your own personal. That's important, guys. We're not just throwing words out here. This is something you gotta really know. A lot of people are good at a lot of things, but are doing things because someone else expects them to do those things, including your boss, you know, including your family, including your friends, your society. So if you're always planning your personal growth trajectory around other people's expectations of you, you might be able to navigate that, but you'll never, I submit to you, you'll never live with you. So what are your passions? What are your passions? You know, there's no shame in this because, you know, we're all on a journey. The AWD is a woman evolves. And we're always evolving. And so a lot of people, believe it or not, I've mentored a lot of folks in my career, and I am finding that people don't always know what their passions are, right? What do I do? What is it? You know, people know what they have always done, but somehow they still feel unfulfilled. That's because you have not connected with your passion. Now I want y'all to do this. Y'all trust me, right? Yes. I want y'all to do this exercise. I want everybody in the room, under the sound of my voice, to close her eyes. Or his eyes. I'm just gonna get out of there. I want you to close your eyes. And just, first of all, open your mind. Because I'm gonna do this little exercise with you and I want to see what happens when we get out. So very brief. Okay, now listen to my voice with your eyes closed. See yourself in this moment completely happy. Just take a minute in there. See yourself completely happy. You can't wait to get out of bed every day. You're adding value to your personal why. You've just been told that you cannot be paid for what you are working hard to do, but you decide to do it anyway. I just lost somebody. But you do it anyway, stay with me. And what's more, you find a way to not only get paid to do it, but find multiple streams of income doing it. Open your eyes. What are you doing? What is it? You don't gotta tell me, write it down. You have just, ladies and gentlemen, come upon your passion. Write that down, because there's something that you need to do with that. Did anybody find something? Just yes, somebody, okay, that's good. What are your passions? It's really important for you to know you can't always go to work or go to your mentor and be an open vessel and let them pour things into you to tell you who you are and what you want to do with your life. You have to have an idea. You might leverage your mentors and your sponsors to help you shape those, but you gotta know what moves you at your very core. Know your passion. Now, a part of knowing yourself is also knowing those things that are always in your head, telling you you can't do whatever that thing is that you love to do. I want to introduce you guys, and I'm gonna spend a little time on this because know yourself is foundational. It's very, very important. There's and this, you want to write this down. A gentleman by the name of Shirzad, 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 Shamine, Chamine. He wrote a book called Positive Intelligence. Positive Intelligence. And in that book, he talks about his discovery of, most of the time when people say self-sabotage, we think of it as just one thing, like we're sabotaging ourselves. But he teaches us that there are actually 10 very specific saboteurs that are at work telling you every day what you can't do, why you're not good enough, why you won't succeed. And then there are other people that are just kind of chiming in on those things, but they can't chime in on something that you don't already believe. So I want to walk through real quickly, because I know I don't have a whole lot of time, but I want to walk through those saboteurs, and then I want you guys to go and get that book, and I want you to study it. So the first one is the universal saboteur, the judge. Why did you do it like that? Why are you wearing that? Why you, the judge? Everybody has that judge saboteur that has got something negative to say about every single thing that you do. And if that judge is at work talking to you every day, you start to internalize it, and then you start acting like it, and then you find yourself stuck in a rut, unhappy, in a bad relationship, doing the same thing over and over and over again, because that judge won't let you get out of what it is that you need to be doing. The judge also works with accomplice saboteurs. Let me name them, because you might find yourself in some of them. I found myself about 2 or 3. The avoider. The one that only wants to do pleasantries because they can't handle a difficult conversation or a difficult task. So they just want to stay in pleasantries. And I'm talking about not someone who just, is doing this once in a while. I'm talking about to the extreme where it's stunting your personal or professional growth. Managers in the room, I don't want to have that performance review. I just want to tell somebody that I know needs help. Oh, you're doing a wonderful job. And you're not. Okay, so that's the avoider. Also, the controller. Anxiety-based need to control everything, everybody, everything. Now, I'm not judging. I'm just sharing, because this is all about know yourself. If you know your passion and you know your saboteurs that are telling you these things, then you can manipulate those and you can overcome. Is this good information?
Yes.
All right, so we got the judge, we got the aborter, we got the controller. How about the hyper achiever? This is not somebody who wants to grow. Yes, we all want to grow, but someone who has a constant need for performance or achievement in order to feel valued. That's the difference. We want to continue to evolve. But someone who is doing this to the extreme where they have to always, let me get this, let me go, let me get this, because now I feel valued. Because if you take all those things away from me, I don't have value. Not the person that wants to achieve because they want to do, you take it away, I'm still feeling. But that person who wants to always grab at something because if they don't feel valued. That is the hyperachiever. We also have the hyper vigilant. Anything that can go wrong, honey, it's gonna go wrong. I'm not going for that new job, but as soon as I get them, oh, they go. That's what I'm talking about. The hyper vigilant. And then the hyper rational, raising my hand. The one who is overthinking everything, and it's, again, not thinking through things, but overthinking them to the point where they are filled with anxiety, and so they stop trying because they can't find a way to do the thing or get to the passion that they want to get to because they overthought and they won't take the step to do something. And then we have the restless. Being in the right now in this moment is never good enough. I gotta be on, not to the substance of the thing, but to the excitement of the thing. And then the last one he talks about is the victim. The woe is me. Every time I try to do good, evil is always present. And they're doing it not because they're trying to assess a situation, but because they're looking for emotional attention or something to make them feel better. So those are the things. So part of knowing yourself is knowing your passions, knowing your sabotage, and we all have them. And we all have more than one of them. And so once you know them, the good news is there is a way to address them so that you can get to the business of living in your true purpose, stronger than. Now, let me tell you guys, for those who are interested, go to positiveintelligence.com. You can take an assessment and you can, it maybe takes about 10 minutes. You can kind of discover what your own personal saboteurs are and some things that you can do to address them. But speaking very generally, what can you do to handle self-sabotage? What can you do when you've now identified your strength and you want to move in your growth trajectory, but you got all of these or one of these or three of these or two, however many you have gnawing at you? What can you do to overcome your sabotage? Okay, one is to understand them, to study them, to know them so that you can recognize them when they come. Second thing is to label them in the moment. I forgot one, that was a pleaser. Well, I don't like to tell you. You're just constantly trying to please someone to get their approval. But what can you do? So first thing you do is, like I said, understand that they exist, know them so that you can recognize it, and then label them in the moment. When that thing is telling you, you can't do this because remember last time you did it, this happened, blah, blah, blah. Call it out. Call out that sabotage. Okay, hyper-aggression. Whatever it is, call it out, label it in the moment. Next thing is be still and quiet your mouth. Focus on what you know that does give you calm and peace. Focus on that. When those saboteurs are at work, focus on those things. The third thing, and I think this is really most powerful, look at examples in your life of when you have done to defeat and tell the saboteur within you that that's a lie. What do you mean I can't achieve? What do you mean I'm not a good public speaker? What, last week you just stood up and told a bunch of people they were crying and you touched them? Well, so that's a lie. Yes, I am a good public speaker. So that's what you do. You look at the examples in your life when you have done a thing. And you tell your saboteur that what they're telling you is a falsehood. And then the last thing I would say is positive affirmations. Listen, we have a lot of stuff on the news. We have a lot of stuff going on around in society. It's important to encourage yourself.
That's right.
It's important to tell yourself those things that you need
Good
to
to
keep
you.
up in mind. As my mama would say, be good to yourself.
Yeah.
So that's what knowing yourself is about. Knowing who you are, knowing what your passions are, knowing, recognizing those saboteurs that come in to try to defeat you and then turn around and defeat the saboteurs
Yeah.
because you are what? Stronger than.
Stronger
I said,
than.
because I didn't want y'all to say wrong. Second thing, know your environment. Here's another mamaism. Mama used to say, it's not that complicated when you know the rules. Like we get up and wherever we work, wherever we're going, whatever we're involved in, and we feel so defeated because this happened and that happened and I'm supposed to get that job and why didn't I get it? Because you gotta know your environment. Understand the mission, the purpose, the objective of the environment that you are in. If what you're doing is not aligned with that environment, chances are you're not going to succeed. Understand the culture that you are working in. It's not a culture that is consistent with your passion, chances are there is going to be conflict. But as long as you know that, you have the power to decide what you will do about it. And then you have to have the strength and courage to decide whether I want to stay in this environment. If you're gonna stay in it, don't complain about it.
All right.
Be in it and know what you're doing.
All right.
But if you're not, if that's in an environment that's inconsistent with, when you look in the mirror, you don't see yourself, can't recognize yourself anymore. Think about an exit strategy.
Yes.
We don't have time today, Chuck, but y'all gotta bring me back to talk about exit strategy. But know your environment. One second, put all of this all over. Y'all stay with me. But- I'm stronger than this place. Watch us.
He's strong.
All right, so this is all about knowing your environment. The other part of knowing your environment, understand the perceptions of you. Now, this is not so that you can find out who likes you and you don't. But let's just say, let's talk about people in corporate America. This is something that I used to teach my team all the time. I'm gonna give you a quick example in a second. But understand others' perceptions of you. You do not have to own those perceptions. But you need to be aware of them. And then you need to determine whether that particular person's perception matters to you. If that person is responsible for your promotion, then manage that perception. Manage your manager.
Yes.
If you want to be the chief basket weaver in your company, and the person that has a perception of you is in grass growing, maybe that person's perception doesn't matter. So don't spend your time being bogged down because so-and-so's perception. But if this person is the ultimate, God personally sent him down to do basket weaving, and you know you want to stay in that culture and do basket weaving, manage the perception. I didn't say change who you are. I said manage the perception, and that's about relationship building. Ain't got enough time to be. Y'all gonna have to come back. Y'all gonna have to come back to talk about this. Is that this stuff though?
Yes.
Let me tell you something. Let me give y'all an example. When I was at, y'all probably know already. Thank you. Thank you. Sheila. Thank you. Lord, Wanda, can we just say it right now? Oh, wow, this is a line now. Somebody say keep on going. So let me show y'all an example. So I manage a team of high performing lawyers at this particular company. And both these lawyers wanted to be promoted to the next level. But there was one person in HR who had decided that under her watch, these two people would never be promoted because of the perception that she had about these people. She said that these people were not good relationship builders. They were technically competent, but they weren't good relationship builders. Now, I had to pull these two people in my office separately to tell them, listen, I'm gonna give it to you straight. It's not because you're not the best lawyer. It's not because you don't understand the business. It's because there is a perception that you don't know how to build a relationship. So both of these people said, well, that's not true. I just disagree. Hold on. You don't have to own the perception. You have to be aware of the perception to what? Manage the perceptions. So she said, well, what should I do? I said, well, that's why you gotta have sponsors in your pocket. So I sat down with Miss HR and I said, listen, you've been here a long time. And I certainly respect who you are in this organization. Tell me what it is that's the problem with so-and-so and so-and-so, blah, 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 blah. Okay, so I think it's pretty clear that we know that they are already adding value as a technical person, but it's just a relationship. Okay, so I told so-and-so and so-and-so, get out of your feelings. Let us put together a development plan that is focused on relationship building. So when we sat in the room, y'all didn't know there were rooms where things go on, y'all don't even know. We sat in a room and we went, it's time for promotion. We worked on a development plan for BCPP for 2 years, because I didn't want nobody to say it was a fluke the first year. So when the second year came around, I sat around and said, anybody got anybody they want to put up for promotion? I got 2 people on so-and-so and so-and-so. Oh, I'd already said so-and-so and so-and-so is never gonna be promoted. I said, well, let me just offer this as my list. We already know from last year that we talked about how these people are excelling from a technical standpoint. But now what we're doing is we have been for the past 2 years focusing on relationship building. And so this person has done this. This person has served this executive leader. This person has done that. These people who didn't even like each other have been working with each other because they want to build their relationship piece. HR could not argue with me because we had already established that this thing over here wasn't the problem. This thing was the problem. But this is the thing. If those lawyers would have just thrown up their hands and said, look, I'm not gonna let anybody tell me who I am, what I am, I know what I am, they would not be promoted. And since then, not only did they get that promotion, but the next year they got 2 promotions over.
All right.
You gotta know the perceptions that matter. And then you have to know how to manage those perceptions. And that's when you leverage your mentors, your sponsors who can work with you, who know the system, who know what's being said in rooms that you don't know exist. Does that make sense?
Yes.
All right, so know your environment. We talked about know yourself, know your environment. Okay, once you got a handle on that, I would say determine your relevant strengths. Now, this is not just for work, y'all. This is in your everyday life, in your relationships that you're in. Determine your relevant. Somebody say relevant.
Relevant.
I did not say, well, look, listen, if they're not singing at your job, you're really good at singing, that might not be a relevant strength. Determine your relevant. How do you determine what's relevant? Understand, something I said before, understand in whatever environment you're in, what matters to talk. What is it that matters? Look at whatever those initiatives, whatever those plans are, and determine what skill set do you have that speaks directly to what matters in your organization. And guess what? It's got to be more than that, because then you're just doing the job. Somehow figure out what the organizational need is and what you're good at ties back up to your passion. Write this down. Passion plus skill set plus organizational need equals your leadership sweet spot.
Repeat that for me.
Passion plus skill set plus organizational need. When those things are aligned, that's when you are in your leadership sweet spot. If you don't have one of those aligned, you're just in a job spot. And we know sometimes we gotta have job stocks. But we're talking about living in our purpose right now. So know your environment, know your relevant strength. Here's this what I like. Write the vision. Make it fun. I strongly advocate for vision boards. Let me tell you something. There is something about picking those pictures out of that book and whatever those pictures represent to you, pasting on that, putting it in a place where you know that you can see them and seeing that thing come into fruition. I have done 5 vision boards in my entire life. There is not one thing.
All right.
I don't know if I can attest to this. There is not one thing that I have put on that vision board that I have not accomplished.
All right.
Not one. Make it plain. Now that's right. The making it plain is telling like-minded folks that support you about your vision. If somebody you know, Mr. Controller, Mrs. Hyperachiever, Mr. Wrestler, why are you telling them about your vision? Because they're going to, because you know what's gonna happen, they're going to, oh no, let me tell you though, I know they struck a chord. They are going to activate your saboteur. They don't even have to sabotage you, they turn around and help you sabotage yourself. Somebody So these are not just words, ladies and gentlemen, not just write the vision, but write the vision and make it plain.
You understand.
Yes. And then, just a few more, and then I'm gonna stop this. My God, lean, I mean, lean into your soft skills. I like to call them critical skills. When you, look at that, let me ask you this. Let me go back to corporate, nonprofit, wherever. Have you ever seen where it seems like somebody got promoted and they don't know nothing about what it is? Yes. Have you ever applied for a job? And you think you go down every list and you didn't get the. Y'all focusing on the technical.
Right.
What organizations are, now let me hasten to say, sometimes it's just shenanigans. But let's put that aside because we know that exists. But sometimes leaders are looking for leaders. You can learn anything technical. They want to know who can inspire a vision. Who can handle difficult conversations? Who can build relationships? If you're smart, you can handle the technical stuff, but can you be a leader amongst your team? Can you lead yourself?
Yes.
Lean into those relationship building skills, those communication skills, those leadership skills. It's okay to focus on the technical, but lean in on the soft, or what I call critical skills. Create a personal board of directors. Every CEO has a board of directors.
Amen.
You need to find mentors, and they don't have to, and let me tell you something, they can be for a season. As you continue to grow, you find you need different kinds of mentorship. Find mentors, and let me tell you something. Anybody know the difference between a mentor and a sponsor? Let me tell you. A mentor is that someone that is a sounding board for you. Someone that can help you navigate the culture in your environment, someone who can talk to you about relationships, somebody who can talk to you about whatever you need them to talk to you about. But the sponsor is not someone that you find. It's the person that finds you. Because you're showing up, because you're doing the work, because you're being an example, because you're building relationships and doing the technical, and you're bringing some folks behind you, and you're helping to build and support the mission. Those people are the people who will put their career capital, their community capital, their personal capital on you because you showed up. That's right. I was in a junior position. I didn't even know people were watching me. Somebody came to me and said, I think you ought to apply to this job because I've seen you, I've been watching it. This job was 4 levels up from what I was doing. I was like, here my saboteur. Why are you trying to get less?
Right.
Yeah. He said, I see something in you that you don't see in yourself. I applied for that job, got the job, told the woman who told me that I was gonna be reporting to me, to see me in my office. You know what I'm saying? So that's what you have to do. You have to do those things. And then the last thing, and I'm gonna open it up for some questions. Lead from where you sit. Stop chasing the title. Lead from where you sit. Stop chasing. I can't do what I need to do until you make me chief head honcho of the best of the. Do you where you are. And somebody will notice you and elevate you to where you are supposed to be. I'm done. Something you can start doing right now to change the course of your trajectory. And somebody call me and tell me if I'm lying. I know I'm not lying because I've lived this stuff.